Number 7.
I may have the Packers too low again this week. Lead the NFL in turnover differential. Jordan Love's missed 2 games. He's second in the league in touchdown passes. I love this kid. Had my questions early. He's humming. Dobbs, Christian Watson. They got 3 tight ends I like. 5 different players have multiple touchdown receptions. Nobody else in the NFL saying that. And they lead the NFL with 54 what they call big plays. So again this week, I have them probably a spot too low, but they're a young team and can be a tad inconsistent half to half, but I have them at 7.
Number 6.
Okay, so I've been thinking how I want to kind of approach this and address this, but it is interesting because Colin has them, moving back essentially, because he had them at 6, and he's like, oh, I think maybe I have them too low, and now he moved them back even more, right? And now he's like, I might still have them too low or too high, however the phrasing is. And I get to a degree, obviously, Packers fans know that I'm super high on the Packers and Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and everything they're doing there. That goes without saying. But I will say that from an outside perspective looking in, I get the hesitation to go all in on the Packers and the I don't want to say lack of belief, but just the hesitation overall because of how the season started with Jordan Love and getting injured. And so it just really kind of muddled everything up a little bit in terms of like how to evaluate this team. And I totally get that. I'm totally understanding of all of that, and it makes sense. And I think in a way it kind of works to the benefit of the Packers, because I think right now, for the most part, the Packers are not really high on a lot of people's radars. I wonder how other teams feel about it, because obviously teams are going to address things differently than, say, the media. But like it goes without saying, like, there's pretty much like no conversations about the Packers. I mean, Colin barely ever talks about them outside of kind of his herd hierarchy. There's pretty much never any conversations on First Things First. I struggle to find other clips on NFL Live, Get Up, right? Like there's a few things occasionally, and actually it felt like there was more attention when Jordan Love, of course, first got injured, but then when it was Malik Willis and stuff, right? Like people were more kind of, because it was like, I guess it was technically like a more interesting story. And now Jordan Love has already like fallen out of popularity. And I pointed that out before because it was just like everybody was already on to the new, the new thing. And that even happened with the CJ Stroud as well. So this isn't 100% unique to the Packers. This is just like, and Jordan Love, but this is just like, I guess, the media landscape, right? Like people are talking more about, like Caleb Williams had a big game against the Jags, and they were talking way more about that game versus the Jaguars than anything that Jordan Love has done since his return. Again, on any of the main shows that I always kind of review and break down. And I do find that interesting. I do always find it interesting when certain teams get lack of attention. Some teams, it makes sense to me because they're not super popular. And I can even just know from my own videos that I make and be like, okay, this gets less engagement, less views, just less whatever. And I still make those videos because I don't want to chase just what I think is popular. I want to be able to kind of attack all teams. But the Packers don't, the reason why I'm putting that out is because the Packers don't lack that, right? Like they don't lack the fan presence. People love the Packers. They love to talk to them. We're one of the most popular teams, so they don't lack that. So then it's just interesting then that what's not moving the needle for them. And I just wonder it's if people don't think that the Packers are a true contender, right? It seems like a lot of times the media will kind of go after a team that they think is either a true contender, really moves the clip, really moves the views. Like it's really like, okay, we talk about this, we're going to get the views, or they're just not popular at all. So it's like, we just let them be. And so I find it interesting as to like where the Packers lie then. Is it like they just don't think that the Packers are going to be, because Chris Broussard like loves the Packers. I think he picked the Packers to make the Super Bowl. I don't know if it was to win the Super Bowl. I think he maybe still picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, but I'm pretty sure he picked the Packers to come out of the NFC. And yet there's still minimal talking about it. And I find it interesting the more and more I reflect on it. And now here's my hot take. And you guys know I don't really make hot takes, but This is what it feels to me, because there was this slow start for the Packers just because of injuries, and then, just, I shouldn't even say a slow start. It was just a different start than what the Packers were originally anticipating, and Jordan Love being disrupted. I think Jordan Love right now, from this point forward, is going to absolutely positively ball out and light the league on fire, or he's going to be wildly, I don't want to say inconsistent because that's too strong of a word, but he's going to have like a 4-touchdown game, 380 yards, and then the next game he's going to have like 3 interceptions and 3-touchdown game, right? Like, I think it's going to be one or the other. He's either going to just truly be like, I am just on one, like, you will never forget who I am, and you better talk about the Packers every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Or it's going to be, right, it is going to be like this, kind of like a hybrid between old school Josh Allen, Brett Favre, where it's just like, I'm slinging it. We're gonna just live and die by the sword in an approach. And I believe it's going to be more of light the league on fire than it's going to be. And again, inconsistent isn't the right word, but just a ton of highs and some unfortunate lows. And I think the lows will be minimized more than anything, mainly because of Matt LaFleur, what Matt LaFleur can do with Jordan Love. And like I said, I think I said this before, as long as Jordan Love is receptive to Matt LaFleur's coaching, which I think he is, that's when those lows will be minimized. That's when they can play organized, clean, intentional football. But it's just everything that I see out of Jordan Love. And I just feel like, again, since he got the first start, and it was like a weird start because of everything that happened in Brazil and obviously getting injured. And then it just took some time to get resettled, and the league continued to move on as he was out, that so much of that momentum was lost. And I just feel like when you really actually watch what the Packers are doing and watch the games and what Jordan Love is doing, like, how can you not just be like, dude, Jordan Love is that dude, man. Like, he is that dude. He is an absolute beast. And he's playing with such insane confidence, and which can get you in trouble too at times, right? That's a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways, especially when you're the quarterback. But that's the benefit of having Matt LaFleur and such a great culture in a team like the Green Bay Packers have. So I'm at this point, right, because they're 4-2, so we're kind of starting to we're finally starting to now really get deep into the season, but still only like a third into or like not even a third, like a quarter into Jordan Love's season because of injuries. I just feel like it's the possibility of him just really, really rising to the occasion. Very similar to what we saw in those last 10 games that everyone always loves to point out for the Packers last season and Jordan Love. I think we're going to potentially really see that begin to unfold and really just be like, where people are going to be like, is Jordan Love an MVP candidate, or is he leading the MVP race right now? The Packers are on one. I mean, they're 4-2. It's just obviously a great record, and to have them still at 7, again, I get it because there's a lot of great teams right now, and those teams, it's a little bit easier to evaluate because their quarterbacks didn't get injured, and so you can kind of see it more consistently. But like, they still, like, he has the 49ers ahead of the Packers, the Lions ahead of the Packers, the Ravens, the Vikings, and the Chiefs. Some of those teams make sense, of course. Some of them maybe less so. So it's just going to be interesting. I really, really am going to be locked into the Packers these next few weeks to really see where Jordan Love goes from here, because they, of course, will go as high and as far as Jordan Love. Not to say that this team needs only big games from Jordan Love to win or go far, but the truth of the matter is like, Jordan Love ultimately is the difference maker of this team, right? I mean, you can pretty much say that about many quarterbacks, but not all teams need to be 100% so quarterback centered. Even the Kansas City Chiefs, right? They don't need Patrick Mahomes to throw for 350 yards to really make a difference. The Green Bay Packers, they don't need that on any given day, but for them to really, really reach their peak powers, that's like, you need peak Jordan Love powers. And I think it's coming. Maybe I'm trying to speak it into existence. It just feels like Jordan Love is going to be settled. And I just feel, again, he had so much momentum last season. Everybody was so high on him. But there were still the questions of, well, it was only those 10 games, which I have discounted, I disarmed a lot and talked about. And then, right, he lost in the playoff game, and it was a bad throw, understandable considering the circumstances. He loses, and then he has the game versus the Eagles, obviously months later, gets injured, and because of that, it was just like the momentum was just really kind of shrunk and crushed. And again, the Packers are just not a team that's being really talked about right now that much, at least from my personal experience. I'm just not seeing Colin doing a lot of segments on the Packers and Jordan Love or first things first. Like, none of these shows am I really seeing it. Every time I want to do a Packers video, I gotta like really pull and fight to try to find some clips to work with personally. And if you guys find no other clips, by all means, let me know, because I love to talk Packers. But it just feels like the Packers are going to be ultimately within the next couple of weeks really inevitable, right? Because people are so quick now to talk about the Lions, understandable considering what they just did to Dallas. The Vikings, understandable considering they're undefeated, right? Of course, the Chiefs, the Ravens are just super popular with Lamar Jackson, right? Like, Lamar Jackson's getting all this hype right now in the Baltimore Ravens, and understandable as well. But also, like, what about the Pack? Like, the Packers are 4-2. Like, they're having some big wins. They're having some big moments. They have a really exciting quarterback. Like, and same thing even with the Texans, which I'm going to talk about in a different video. The Texans are kind of suffering from a similar issue in a lot of ways. A great young hotshot quarterback as well. They're 5-1, I think, are the Texans. And yet they also don't have that same level of momentum intensity. And it's like what Colin said, they're a young team. And I think he also said something similar about the Texans as well. So I guess there just seems to be that these two teams, they're not ready yet, I guess. They're not ready to take over the playoff intensity. I think there's a lot of hedging to talk about these teams that they think are going to carry the momentum and the views and the energy and the fandom throughout the season and into the playoffs, right? Because if you're talking about the Ravens throughout the season, then it's in your best interest to have them continue to win in the playoffs, right? Like, it's to continue to ride that wave. If you're talking about the Falcons being great all season only to have them not even make the playoffs, that's like from a built up fan and view perspective, it really deflates everything, right? It really deflates it all. So I just wonder if that's what it's really coming from, just a lack of true belief in what the Packers can achieve. And I think it's going to ultimately in a few weeks really end up being inevitable to be like, well, of course we got to talk about the Packers because they're a top team in the NFL, right? They're a top team in the NFC. They have to be considered to be a top contender to come out of the NFC, to win a Super Bowl, etc., etc. I think maybe also once we get fully healthy divisional games, Packers versus Lions, Packers versus Bears. Unfortunately, which is crazy, like, it's the Bears that are going to bring a lot of attention to, say, these other teams because everyone's so all about Caleb, right? And then you're going to have Colin and Nick Ray and all those guys talk about how's Caleb going to do versus the Packers, right? Can Caleb Williams outduel Jordan Love? Like, and they did that with Jaden Daniels and Lamar, so it's par for the course, right? It really is, but it'll be up for the Packers and Jordan Love to little brother Caleb and be like, no. Just settle. Just stop. I like what you did. It was cool. You beat the Jags. It was cool. You beat the Panthers. Congratulations. You're still little bro. Okay? You're little brother. Let's relax. Do you know who we are right now? We're the Green Bay Packers. So it's going to be interesting. I'm so excited for those games and to have them unfold. And it's just going to be great. I feel like the Minnesota Vikings game, which I think was the only divisional game for the Packers, for anyone in that division. And it was a little bit difficult because it was Jordan Love's first game. The game kind of got out of control kind of quickly. Then there was the comeback. So it just was a weird game overall, just to even watch and try to figure out, like, what are the takeaways from this game. It was a little tricky. I don't even think Jordan Love was honestly 100% healthy yet, quite frankly. So in a way that game was probably more misleading than anything else. But God, I'm excited. I honestly really, really am. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Green Bay Packers being ranked 7th and actually going back one when they were last week? They were 6th. Do you think they should be higher, lower? Do you think it's fair where they are? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, Let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.